بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، حمدا كثيرا طيبا باركا فيه، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So we continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, the 40 fundamentals, ال40 فصول الدين by Imam Al-Ghazali رحمه الله ونفعنا بهم في الدارين آمين آمين آمين. And this is the 10th principle of this quarter, meaning we have reached 30 principles, inshallah. Ostentation, الرياء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون. Woe to those who pray and are heedless of their prayer, absent-minded, distracted. Those who are ostentatious. And though Imam Al-Ghazali did not really mention the rest, which does mean that he omitted anything, but there are practical aspects immediately. Those who would not share, I would translate liberally, وَيَمْنَعُ الْمَاعُونَ. And ultimately it's and it's not sharing basically. Jewelry, it's ultimately it's about sharing the resources, primarily food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, so we have 3 verses here before moving to the hadith. إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. We feed you only for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Allah's countenance. We do not want any reward or thanks from you. Only if we know that if we have something to share, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do share, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not expect anything in return. Lady Aisha radiallahu anha, in a hadith, when she used to send charity, she would ask the carrier to pay attention to what is done or said, and he would deliver the charity, and he returns and he would tell, for example, Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, mother of the faithful, he would tell her, this person who received the charity made, for example, a supplication, a dua for her, and she will repeat exactly that dua for the person who said the dua. Like she reciprocates, so that she will not benefit anything really from the charity, not from him, not from the receiver. And this is extremely being conscientious about the issue of reaping benefit from people who receive praise, services, and it does happen. And the 3rd verse, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. And the rest of it, man, do not associate anything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You hope, you'd like to really, whoever hopes to meet his Lord, let him do righteous deeds. Of course, to meet his Lord and being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with you, yes, the cornerstone is not to associate anything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All sins could be potentially could be forgiven except for shirk. Be righteous. By righteous deeds, he intended sincerity. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Verily, action is judged. The criterion is intention, is judged according to intention. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. The rest of the hadith, you know it. People could basically do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or for a worldly gain. فمن كان هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله. Originally the migration from Mecca to Medina. If your migration was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of his prophet, then that's what it is. On the other hand, ومن كان هجرته إلى امرأة ينكحها ولا دنيا يصيبها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. There are those who basically were interested in material gains. Maybe they have traveled simply for to marry a beloved one. It did happen. That's the context for the hadith at any rate. So the Prophet ﷺ warned us against this associating anything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he said, verily the most dreadful thing I fear for you is the minor association of partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الشرك الأصغر. It was asked, and what is that? He said, ostentation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on the day of the resurrection, when he rewards the slaves for their deeds, go to the people to whom you were ostentatious and see if you will find any reward with them. Those who did not do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would tell them, go back to those with whom you have done things for the sake of other people, get the reward from those people. And of course there's no reward from the other people. It's in vain. Shirk is dreadful as it is said here. إن أخوف ما أخاف عليكم. The most feared thing that the Prophet ﷺ warned us, he feared basically this association with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a long hadith, this is narrated by Muslim, it will be said to the soldier, the scholar, and the spender, when one of them says, I did this and that, you have lied. I did this and that, meaning I did this and that for your sake, O Allah. It will be said to him, you have lied. You wanted for it to be said that so and so is a scholar or brave or generous. Brave, courageous. Then he will be taken to the fire. فيذهب به إلى النار. Narrated by Muslim. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, seek refuge with Allah from the pit of sorrow. From the pit of sorrow. Jub al-Hazan. Jub al-Hazan. It's a remarkable hadith. It was asked, what is that? What is Jub al-Hazan? وَمَا جُبُّ الْحَزَنِ, or what is that? Directly, that's what the narration of Imam Al-Ghazali. Imam Tirmidhi has a slightly different version. He said, a valley in hell. that is prepared for people who recite the Quran ostentatiously. He ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whoever performs a deed for me but associates another with me concerning it, it is for him entirely, and I'm free of it. It will be rejected. I am the freest. I am the freest of those free from need of partnership. This is narrated also by Imam Muslim. Do not really taint your action with shirk. It could be the best action externally, superficially, because if it lacks sincerity, that's what it is. It is a superficial act. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah does not accept a deed that has a particle's weight of ostentation. That has a particle's weight of ostentation in it. And this is not really a hadith, really. It has been attributed to Abu Muhammad Yusuf bin Asbat. Died in the year 811, so almost 200 years after the Hijrah, 195. So it's not a hadith. And the next hadith, it's part of a longer hadith, and Al-Hakim said that it is sound, but Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim did not really mention it in their compendia. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily the slightest bit of ostentation is an association of partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isa alayhi salam, he said, if it's a day that one of you is fasting, then he should put oil on his head and beard and wipe his lips so that the people do not see that he is fasting. If he gives with his right hand, he should hide it from his left hand, and if he prays, he should lower the cover over his door. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala most certainly divides praise just as he divides provision. And that's a very beautiful thing about do not, of course, sometimes, as Imam Al-Ghazali said, that sometimes one might give examples, but it's real. You could be tired if you fast. You could be tired, and it's okay to be tired, but don't show it. Try to hide it. This is what the whole this whole report about Jesus Christ, peace upon him. If you are fasting, look fresh. Just before you go out, if your house is close to the mosque, have a shower, look fresh. He said, put oil on your hair and beard. In the language of today, it could be gel. I'm not, advocating that. It took me a while to accept the idea of gel amongst the kids, but it was a phase, really. At any rate, so kids are born to a different generation. It's a total different story. But what this report says, appear like hide your worship if you can. This is the whole thing about putting a curtain on your door so that people will not see you praying. Okay. Lower the cover over his door. It's a curtain. For this reason, Umar radiallahu anh said to a man who would tilt his neck to lower his head during prayer, "O you with the neck, straighten your neck up, for humility is not in the necks, but in the hearts." There's another tradition about Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anh. He saw a man dragging himself, like he's a miskeen, he's into a state of spirituality that, and Umar radiallahu anh, in that story, he hits him between his shoulders, like you are almost causing the religion to die. Okay, for us, that's not really how the religious, the spiritual, it's almost like the as if basically this story of Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, as if it says as if it reflects the verse from the Quran, "Ya Yahya khudh al-kitab biquwwa," O Yahya, the son of Zakaria alayhi as-salam, take the book with strength. Take the book with strength. Then another hadith, but the chain of narrators is weak. The ostentatious person will be called by 4 names on the day of resurrection: O ostentatious one, O phony one, O sinner, O loser. Go and take your reward from the one who you worked for there is no reward for you with us. And once one hears the word loser, you'd like the opposite is being a winner. And you do want to win the approval of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'd like to win the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's only possible by following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But not only as appearances, but the state associated with it, the state of the heart that is associated with it. Don't be a loser. You are always, ready to contribute positively towards the welfare, to benefit the ummah and beyond, to benefit humanity. Okay, your state, your action should be, should be the message. We need the oral message written also, but we need the message to manifest itself in our lives as witness. Qatada rahimahullah said, if a slave is ostentatious, meaning if the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look at how my slave is mocking me. Of course, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, what's going on in the hearts of all people at once and beyond that too. Al-Hasan, meaning Al-Hasan al-Basri, Wallahu a'lam, said, if a slave is ostentatious, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look at how my slave is. That's Qatada. Al-Hasan said, I accompanied people who, whenever some point of wisdom occurred to one of them that would have benefited both himself and his companions, had he voiced it, he was prevented from doing so because he did not desire fame. And it's the opposite of fame, being unknown, incognito. People would not recognize you. Like just like the fame. We kill ourselves today just to be famous, literally, not only metaphorically. The young man, he looked. His physiognomy is from Southeast Asia. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alam. Whether he was Korean originally, Chinese, it doesn't make much difference really. But he jumped from one building, high-rise building, to another, and he did pull-ups, like as if he really showing his strength. And then he failed. He failed to make one more pull-up so that he could be on the roof of the other building, and he fell to his to death. And people were taking basically videos of him. Isn't that a sad state of being fame, killing people literally? You would like to just to have more likes. People expose their bodies on the internet so that they get more likes. They have nothing to offer, no idea, no healthy ideas, no services, no medical, let's say, just volunteer with the firefighters, volunteer as a medic, volunteer in a home for the elderly, volunteer in a school, volunteer. Why would you waste your life looking for likes simply by using your body parts for fame? And because there are too many people exposing themselves on before the camera, how many of them will become famous because of that? There are too many people doing that. Types of action in which ostentation occurs. The reality of ostentation is seeking status in people's hearts, though worship and good deeds, or through worship and good deeds. There are 6 types of actions that are done ostentatiously. The first one is ostentation in respect of the body, such as showing skinniness and lightness so that one is taught to stay up praying at night and to fast all day. Ironically, this is also showing the body. Showing sorrow so that one is thought to be extremely earnest regarding religious affairs. Showing disheveled hair so that one is thought to be extremely immersed in the religion and has no time to take care of himself. Showing chapped lips so to suggest that one fasts, and lowering the voice to suggest that one is weak from the severity of struggling. The second is ostentation through form, appearance, such as shaving the mustache, lowering the head while walking, moving calmly, leaving the mark of prostration on the face, and shutting the eyes in order for it to be thought that one is in a state of spiritual ecstasy, unveiling, or deep thought. The third is ostentation in regards to clothes, like wearing wool or another rough material. Wool at the time was considered rough. Wool today is expensive stuff. Shortening a garment up to close to half of the shin. Shortening sleeves and leaving a garment dirty or with holes in order for it to be thought that one has no time to take care of his clothes. Wearing patched clothing and praying on a rug in order to be considered one of the Sufis, despite being bankrupt concerning the reality of Sufism. Sufism is a state of your heart, not a state of your appearance. Sufism is about manners, about how you relate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as a result, of course, to the Prophet, how you relate to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu, and how basically this reflects in the way you treat, human beings. In fact, there is a beautiful definition of the reality of Sufism. It says التصوف كله أدب فمن زاد عليك في الأدب زاد عليك في التصوف. Sufism is all about adab, the proper behavior at a specific time and specific place. If someone really increases or goes beyond your state in adab, he or she, of course, goes beyond you in terms of Sufism, spirituality. Read, if you will, Sayyid Muhammad Naqib al-Attas work on adab. Wearing a garment with tight sleeves or a seamless shawl, or widening the sleeves in order to be thought a scholar, because that's how they appeared, or putting a sheet over the turban and wearing socks in order for it to be thought that one is an ascetic due to his extreme caution from the dust on the street. Then there are those who seek status in the hearts of righteous people. So they wear shabby clothes, and if they are burdened with wearing a nice new garment, which is permitted in revealed law and was worn by the pious predecessors, they would view it like slaughter, fearing that people would say it seemed acceptable to him as asceticism. Among them is the one who seeks status with sultans and merchants through expensive patched wool clothes. If he were to wear shabby clothes, they would surely ridicule him. And if he wore upscale clothes, they would not believe he was an ascetic. So he seeks dyed patches, fine clothes, and high quality wool. His clothes are valuable and rare. Like the clothes of the rich, yet their color and form are like the clothes of the righteous. If these people were burdened with wearing shabby clothes, it would be like a slaughter for them, due to their fear of falling in the estimation of the rich. If they were burdened with wearing fine material, which is permissible to wear, yet its value was less than the value of the clothes of the rich, it would be extremely difficult for them, due to their fear of diminished status in the hearts of the righteous, who will say it seemed acceptable to him as a citizen. You know the notion, and I would end with this, inshallah. So, of these 6 types of action, we would have completed 3 of them, and inshallah tomorrow we'll continue the other 3. It's a lengthy chapter on ostentation. So you do know the notion of power dressing, and one way or the other, it is related to that. It's not about. It's not. The interest is not covering yourself, and nobody said that. Also, if you do have, clothing, then do wear. If you don't, that's a different story. Okay. And I know from a Muslim revert who gave an advice once. At a conference, he said, if you address people for the first time, like you go to, he gave that's in the West, that's the story. Do not wear traditional clothing. That's what he suggested. So just like wear something like them, appropriate, not really. Don't overdo it. And following, in other meetings, if you continue meeting with them, as part of reaching out to the community, you may wear something traditional. So there are appropriate. Let me put it this way: there is no need. There is no need to go into extremes. And remember that it's really about what's going on in the heart. Inshallah, we'll continue explaining this tomorrow. Subhanakallah wa hamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.